On December 28, 2010, a post would be uploaded to Super Mario World Central. That post would contain a ROM hack, simply labeled as Mario. The ROM hack itself was basic, with barely anything to write home about. It was normal, at least for the most part. After defeating the first boss, Iggy, the cutscene that comes afterward has altered text.
Victim number 1. The victim was found lying on her carpet. Causes of death unknown. Hand marks with unidentifiable fingerprints were found all over the corpse.
And in the files of the ROM hack, an image could be found. An image of victim number 1. You've played this song and dance before. This ROM hack is one of the most well-known and notorious ARGs out there. It's been covered to death, debunked, and reignited. This ROM hack and the mythos surrounding it would help create an entirely new subgenre of horror, that being the world of horror brews. Horror brews are primarily focused on corrupted, haunted, or quote-unquote creepypasta versions of Nintendo IPs, specifically Super Mario. There are hundreds upon hundreds of interesting, cool, and unique ideas within the horror brew space, but there was one that stood out to me. On the 13th of September 2024, a video would be uploaded to YouTube. The video is titled m.sou, Mario Virus. This would mark the beginning of the Friendly Plumber Virus web series. The description of the video reads, archived recording of an anonymous user coming into contact with the Friendly Plumber Virus and having their Windows XP computer machine hijacked by it. An incredibly intriguing start to what we're about to see. So without wasting any time, it's time for Mario. Koopa. The video starts off with someone in Roblox Studio making a game. They also have another application open called Winamp. Winamp is a media player for Windows that is primarily used for MP3 playback. Their development comes to a halt when a warp pipe appears out of nowhere, with a figure that resembles Mario coming out of it. This figure introduces itself as our virtual assistant before letting us play its very own game, simply titled Mario Game. Upon pressing start, we're sent to Bomb Kingdom, which is where we find out that Mario Game is just Mario 64 with some very apparent changes. Both Mario and the entirety of Bomb Battlefield consists of solely red, blue, and yellow, colors that represent our Mario virtual assistant. We also have a total of 3 lives, with an icon that looks like a meatball. I found that funny. Mario follows the beacon path with his goal of collecting his star. Our little trick is interrupted when suddenly, we cut to m.sou. Disregarding this, we press on forward and notice the star in the distance. Mario makes his way to the top of the structure and we see m.sou again. This time, we see his arm reaching out to a monitor. Our player then does a sick-ass trick and grabs the star, which then takes us to an area called Nurikabe Mountain. The Nurikabe is a part of Japanese folklore and is also a yokai. Nurikabe itself meaning plastered wall. The Nurikabe manifests as an invisible wall that misdirects travelers who come across it. Nurikabe Mountain is a monochrome husk, but ironically, Mario has gained color again. The life counter has also changed. Our player has lost a life and the icon instead resembles Mario's modern look. Since to my knowledge, it's from the Nintendo DS version of Mario 64. I might be wrong though, don't quote me on that. Our player moves on up the mountain and comes across our first instance of an actual enemy. An enemy that resembles the description of a Nurikabe, a plastered wall. It doesn't pose a threat though, all it does is move in place. Mario makes his way past the Nurikabes and heads to the star at the top of the mountain. This takes us to an area simply titled Non-Existence. Non-Existence, just like Nurikabe Mountain, is an environment devoid of any color. Yet again, the life counter has gone down by 1. And the icon now resembles... Okay, pardon my monkey brain, but I do not fucking know what game this icon is from. Mario pushes on forward before he comes across someone, a monochromatic version of Mario. After that, this monochromatic Mario takes our place, and our life counter drops to 0. Oh, and he also shuts down the goddamn computer. This video, while being very straightforward, gives us a lot of insight on m.sou's capabilities and what to expect from now on. The name itself, m.sou, includes the file type .sou, a file type associated with the N64 GigaLeak that was used for model types. The Nintendo 64 GigaLeak was a massive illegal dump of over 2 terabytes of source code and assets for Nintendo 64, Game Boy, and SNES games. This happened in 2018 to 2022, but since this video obviously comes years before that, there isn't really a parallel to be made. This video also shows us that m.sou is a very malicious virus. He has the capabilities to close down applications at any given moment, run Mario 64 source code with no issues, and shut down an entire system. So with that being said, let's move on to our next entry.
I thought I smelled something.
Video of a compilation of encounters with the bootleg friendly plumber virus. Supposedly after an original first encounter, as evidenced by clues in the video and from conversations I've had with those who remember this program and the individual who gave me this video. The date and creator of this recording are unknown, but it was recorded sometime after 2014, and it seemed they weren't too successful in trying to get it online.
The video starts with text on a blue background, the usage of Windows Movie Maker being very apparent. While Movie Maker was most prominently used during the late 2000s, and its final version released in 2012, even though this video was made sometime after 2014, its inclusion still holds up. We're given a slideshow of m.sou leaking and appearing in other games, such as Sonic CD, the FNAF 1 demo, Minecraft, and Roblox, among many others. We then cut to footage of someone in Gary's mod. They open the spawn menu, and m.sou appears. His movements are lifelike, and his appearance is off. He looks like some sort of costume, if that's even straying away from the closest comparison I could make. Considering how m.sou can change forms depending on the game he's in, it could be he just looks more quote-unquote realistic because he's in Gmod. We then see m.sou in more games like Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion and Vanish before Morse code can be heard in the background. This Morse code translates to, "You only have yourself to blame." After a while, we're then shown the YouTube channel of someone by the name of Nate the Gamer. This channel does actually exist, with one upload under its belt, Roblox Funny Skit 1. This video is just a normal skit and doesn't add anything to m.sou at all. But the real meat of this channel lies within the community tab. A single community post can be found, where Nate mentions another channel by the name of Super Spider-Man Gaming 360. This channel does actually have to do with m.sou as a whole, as there's a short on the channel that's literally just a low quality image of m.sou. Yeah, that's it. From what I can concur, these two channels are the channels of m.sou victims. After the virus got a hold of their devices, it took over their channels, using them as a hive mind to spread its plight. Its disease, if you will. Another thing to point out is that both channels have some sort of completion counter. Multiple descriptions and comments have the two channels spouting the same incoherent message of something being closer to completion. Coming back to the video, we then cut to someone's desktop with the most based wallpaper I've ever seen. They're in the notepad typing to the viewer.
Hey guys, so I've got a bit of a different video today. This one's about these weird Easter eggs I've been finding in my games. I have a couple of screenshots I want to show you all, so let's get to it.
They then pull out the images that we saw in the slideshow. But just then, m.sou tells whoever is doing this to stop. And then this happens.
I quite like this game we are playing. You and I, entwined, forever locked into dicks. Or rather, as long as you keep coming back. But you were supposed to keep it a secret. This game of ours is not for prying eyes. I warned you of that, yet you didn't listen. This is your final warning. Try anything funny again, and I'll ruin your life beyond the screen.
So, my takeaway from this is that m.sou has two forms. His regular appearance when he's in and out of applications, and a monochrome faceless version of himself that's most often accompanied by him warning the viewer. Considering that we can make the comparison of m.sou and yokais, it would make sense that this would be his actual form. His other brightly colored appearance is a disguise to get people hooked. Yokais in Japanese folklore are shapeshifters. Often when approaching humans, they use a disguise. The same goes for m.sou. Video of a subsequent encounter with the friendly plumber virus inside of the old Sony online game SAPARi, where he takes the form of an innocent-seeming yokai,
who just wants to befriend the player. My source says this video originates from a Nico upload dating back to 2007.
Before we get into the actual video, I think we should break down what the description gives us. This video has m.sou inside of another program once again, but this time he's in the 3D virtual world SAPARi created by Sony in 1997. It was kinda like Roblox but without the predator. This game was a framework and prototype that would later evolve into the online space of gaming. A large hub area where players could interact, make their own avatars, and socialize. This description also states that this video originated from a Nico upload back in 2007. Nico being a Japanese video sharing service that was released in 2006. The video starts off with our player in the SAPARi garden, but as they turn around, they come across someone. Our player talks to the yokai, but it's unintelligible. Our player types in yes. This entire exchange ties back to SAPARi and its abandonment as a whole. The yokai misses the early days of SAPARi back when everyone would use it. And considering this video would have been recorded a whole decade after its release, and 6 years after its final update, it would make sense as to why it's abandoned at this point in time. And for the most part, that's how this series ends for now. Obviously, it's far from finished, but the future of the series is still on the back burner. There's one more video in the playlist called n_shinka, which basically serves as a teaser for what's to come, so I won't get into it. Shinka, however, is a Japanese term that normally has to do with evolution or progress, which ties back to those progress reports we saw on the other channels. This could probably mean we'll see m.sou evolving and adapting to new means, but we'll see in due time. We should pay attention to the description of n_shinka though, as it contains a link to a Twitter account. This account, named Kason, solely consists of an assortment of random images. Occasionally, there'll be a cryptic post about m.sou or Mario, but apart from that, there's not much else to unpack here. I suggest checking out the account for yourself though, as you could probably find something amongst the loud screaming. Despite m.sou not being finished, I think I can somewhat make sense of what's going on. This series shows the perspectives of multiple victims of the friendly plumber virus, or m.sou's plight, a malicious AI that has the power to tamper with programs, blend itself in with environments, and scrap computers. m.sou as a whole feels like an entity that is trying its best to connect with Mario media, from its half-assed port of Mario 64 to his appearance bearing a lot of similarities to Mario's palette in the Super Mario Bros. Special, an adaptation of the original game, but due to hardware limitations, colors would be limited, leaving Mario set as simply red, blue, and yellow. The yokai aspect of everything also ties into the entity. m.sou himself might not necessarily be a yokai, but he definitely adopts the aspects of one. Yokais lure in humans with a disguise. More often than not, they present those they come across with a friendly game. At first, they mean no harm, but the more their dismay spreads, the more they follow you. I'm not sure the victims in this series are connected, but it's strange how he approaches each of them in a different way. m.sou is a virus both in a computer sense and a literal sense. There's a lot of messaging about contagion and disease surrounding the character, and just like actual diseases, m.sou can and will adapt and evolve. There isn't really anything to theorize here, at least not yet. Everything you need in order to understand both m.sou and his capabilities is given to you, unlike other horror brews where you have to do some digging, and I think this works to m.sou's benefit. Obviously, I'm a fan of searching and theorizing deeper into media, but it's refreshing to have something as clear and thought out as m.sou. This series is a wonderful piece of work, and a stepping stone for what's to come, down to the animation, The voice acting, and the overall mythos as a whole makes m.sou one of my favorite pieces of work from the Horror Brew community. Like I normally do when I get the chance, I like to get in contact with the creator of the media I'm talking about for a little interview. And luckily enough, I got to talk to the main man himself, Readerium3D. I managed to have that interview with him and talk more about production on the series. So without wasting any more time, here it is. Number 1. What inspired you to make m.sou?
I partly got the idea for m.sou when I discovered an asymmetrical horror game called Roblox Pillar Chase 2. Saying I fell in love with it really undersells just how much I played that game and how passionate I was about it, as I have 1,204 hours on it. The game brought back a lot of interest in creepypastas for me, most notably the concept of horror brews, thanks to a character called MX being a playable character in the game. Horror brews are spin-offs of Mario but with a horror twist, like how Sonic has XEs because of Sonic XE. The second point of inspiration is a bit sillier. I was watching a video by a content creator called PatMac. Specifically his How Many Ports of Super Mario Bros. 1985 exists. Super Mario Bros. Release history video. In it, he covered an obscure port of Super Mario Bros. for Japanese computers called Super Mario Bros. Special. I found the visual style of the port and its context very interesting, especially since I already had an interest in old obscure technology and hardware. So I combined my interest for obscure tech, horror brews, and Super Mario 64 to create my own horror brew using the color palette of Super Mario Bros. Special. The idea to give him his own series came a bit later after I created the character. My memory on how I came to that idea is pretty fuzzy, so I pretty much don't know any details regarding that anymore. But I imagine I found some digital horror videos on YouTube and wanted to try my hand at creating my own. If I were to take a guess on specifics, it was probably Vibing Leaf's earlier videos that I saw first.
Oh, sick. I haven't played enough Pillar Chase 2 to base a proper opinion on it, but I've heard nothing but great things about it. Number 2. What was the hardest part about making m.sou, and what was the most fun part?
The hardest part about making m.sou is definitely working on it consistently. I have a lot of other things on my plate. Most notably, I do a lot of development work on a Roblox game called Fright Fighters, and I am also a director on it. I have a hard time just sitting down and really focusing on the series for long stretches of time, since other projects need my attention and I like to do other things outside of m.sou. The most fun part was working on the subsequent encounters video, specifically getting to edit m.sou into a bunch of old games. I really enjoyed getting to work on these and exploring how m.sou adapts to certain games, as well as me getting to show off some more obscure pics.
I think Subsequent is my favorite installment for the same reason. Seeing m.sou in all of those other games and applications really was what got me hooked with the character and the series. Number 3. If you could change anything about the series and the episodes that you've already made, what would you change?
Oh, and I would definitely have changed the ending to the first video for sure. It's way too cliché and corny. The voice for m.sou in it was pretty bad too, but to my credit it was the first video, so there was zero interest in the character. And I didn't really know any voice actors who could pull off what I wanted.
Oh yeah, I get that. I'm pretty fond of the ending to the first video though. Number 4. What are you most proud of in the series?
I'm most proud of how authentic the videos are. They're not perfect, but I think I did a decent job at really making them feel like they are from the era that they say they are, or are supposed to take place in. I've done a lot of research on the internet, hardware and visual styles of the 2000s through 2010s, as well as programs and games of that era. It helps that I used actual virtual machines for all the footage that takes place on a desktop, and I actually know how to hack Super Mario 64.
Oh yeah, 100%. The authenticity of each time period represented in the videos is amazing. Number 5. Was the direction and idea of the character always the same, or did it change once people found interest in the idea?
Not really relating to the first video, but before the first video, m.sou and Friendly Plumber were originally two different characters, before I combined them into one. m.sou was the gray M64 Mario, and FP was the Bonsai Buddy-esque 3D model. But after the first video, the idea and direction of him stayed the same for a long time, until I recently changed his backstory a month or two ago. He used to be the original Mario from the Super Mario 64 beta, before I changed him to be an experimental and incredibly advanced AI from the early 90s. Him being later discarded and finding a way out remained the same in both cases, however.
Oh, I see. Both interpretations of the character are really cool. I think it adds a lot. Last question. Do you have any advice for anyone wanting to make anything similar, or just horror projects in general?
Do your research and don't be afraid to get wacky with your own ideas. m.sou is all things considered a pretty bizarre concept, and even kinda funny. Experimentation, thinking outside of the box, and innovating is what I try to do with all of my projects, and I highly recommend it.
Thank you.